The 10,000 meeting of the Security Council is called to order. The provisional agenda for this meeting concerns the situation in Western Sahara. The agenda is adopted. The Security Council will now begin its consideration of item 2 of the agenda. Yeah, this is exactly the kind of line you're gonna hear this October when the UN Special Envoy presents his report on the Moroccan Sahara. But wait, you're probably asking Western Sahara, Security Council, Special Envoy report, like how, when, and what even is all this about? Let me tell you, it's a long story, but I'll make it short for you. When Spanish colonization withdrew from the Moroccan territory in 1975, things didn't just stop there. Right after, an armed war broke out between Morocco and the separatist group that turned out to be Algeria's armed proxy, known as Polisario. To the 80s, following infiltration by the Polisario financed by Algeria, Morocco had no choice but to build a defense wall to protect its cities. Then, in 1991, the UN stepped in. They said, stop fighting, here's a ceasefire, and created UNIRSO, a mission to organize a referendum. Sounds good, right? But in fact, no one agreed on who could actually vote. The referendum just never happened. Time passed. It's no longer about bullets. The conflict moves into air-conditioned offices at the UN and in world capital, and Morocco. Morocco, acting within its full historical, legal, and diplomatic rights, proposed a resolution that would mark a major turning point in the artificial conflict created by Algeria and Polisario, instead of merely repeating, history, no, this is my land. And so, our story begins in 2007. Morocco presented the Autonomy initiative, and the message was simple: a plan of autonomy under Morocco's sovereignty, a revolution that would later gather broad support from the international community. Now you see where this is going, right? So let's walk into the UN Security Council and check what happened behind those doors. Monday, April 13, 2007 was the turning point. The Security Council voted Resolution 1754. For the first time, the Council called Morocco's proposal serious and credible. The vote was attended by all 15 members, including all permanent members like China, France, the United Kingdom, Russia, and the United States.
What about Polisario's proposal?
You're asking about Polisario's proposal? Just take a note of. From that moment, Morocco's autonomy plan became the real base for negotiations. Between 2007 and March 2008, we had the Manhasset talks. 4 rounds of direct negotiations were held, but no breakthrough. Still, it was dialogue. Later, in January 2009, UN envoy Christopher Rose kept things alive through shuttle diplomacy, which means discussions were held, but no direct meetings between the parties. Fast forward to 2018, Hofstadter, former German president, called for the 4 concerned parties, Morocco, Polisario, Algeria, and Mauritania, to come together at the same table. People called it positive momentum. But then, Kohler resigned in 2019, which slowed things down again. Now here's something interesting. The UN's language itself started to shift. Around 2018, resolutions began using words like realistic, pragmatic, and durable. In simple terms, the referendum idea was fading out, and the autonomy plan, it was standing strong. This was repeated year after year. Then comes December 2020. A big game changer. The US, under President Trump, officially recognizes Morocco's sovereignty over the Sahara, and Washington said clearly, Morocco's autonomy plan is the only realistic solution. And you know what happened next? A domino effect. In 2022, Spain joins in, calling Morocco's plan the most serious and credible. In 2024, France follows. President Macron says the Sahara's present and future are Moroccan. And then, in 2025, the UK steps up too, calling the plan the most viable and pragmatic solution. But wait, there's more. Let's go back to October 2024. Staffan de Mistura, the current UN Secretary General's personal envoy for Western Sahara, made a bold proposal: partition the territory. His idea: a southern independent state and the rest integrated into Morocco with international recognized sovereignty. But guess what? Rejected by everyone. Nasser Bourita said, no way. Full sovereignty stays with Morocco. 2007 autonomy plan only. Fast forward to September 2025. The Mistura goes on a whirlwind diplomatic tour, Russia, the US, all south to advance the Sahara process. And here's the big one, October 2025 session. The Mistura says 2025 marks 50 years since the Sahara issue hit the UN agenda. Next month are crucial. If no progress is reported, we will have to rethink how the UN facilitates the political process. So meanwhile, the autonomy plan proposed by Morocco is backed by several world powers, with 11 out of 15 supporting it. Algeria starts looking isolated. In 2024, while sitting on the Security Council, it refused to even vote on Resolution 2756, a clear sign of frustration. And in 2025, Algeria loses its seat at the Council, replaced by countries that openly support Morocco. In recent months, the unrest from the eastern neighbors has been blatant, which is understandable, as international observers predict that the Moroccan Sahara conflict will soon be resolved. Stay tuned.